Thank you. What entry number is this?
Entry number 5.
5. And this is the Dunkel.
Mm-hmm.
Not a Dunkel Weissen. What's the number on that?
No, Munich Dunkel, it's a category 4B.
4B.
It's not a Dunkel Weissen, it's just a
Right.
Yeah, 4B.
German dark beer.
All righty.
Okay.
Aroma, rich Munich malt sweetness, like bread crusts, sometimes toast, hints of chocolates, nuts, caramel, and or toffee are also acceptable. No fruity esters or diacetyl. If you guys don't know what diacetyl is, it's kind of a butter popcorn flavor that you get at the movies. So none of that should be detectable. Slight noble hop aroma is acceptable. Typically, a problem with this beer that I've experienced, if it is, there's not supposed to be any roast. And a lot of times you get that. It should be more of a bready flavor. This is one of my favorite styles. I love this style.
It's got a nice head.
Very malty. You get kind of almost a licorice.
Oh, yeah.
Black licorice smell.
Mm-hmm. A little anise there.
Mm-hmm. Which I think
Malt sweetness.
I was thinking some of those some of the Munich Dunkels may actually have that.
A bit of caramel. And a bit of licorice.
Yeah, it smells great.
Pretty rich.
That's special.
Not much in the way of hops.
No.
I
Low
don't
hops.
think it's 20p.
So if we have any at all, it should be slight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
Deep dark copper to dark brown, often with red or garnet tint. I think he's right on.
Yeah, that came out pretty well.
Dark garnet.
Yeah.
Creamy to light, medium head. Usually clear, although murky unfiltered versions exist.
So I think it's
I
got
think he's right
a
there.
head. He's got a good head on this one.
All right, so that's always the fun thing. You discuss, and then you sit down and you write. And that's why I step up and talk. So, I mean,
don't need dead air here.
That's right. You know, it's only so entertaining to watch the judging because without cutting out all the dead air while somebody's writing, there is no BJCP allowable feature for just discussing a beer, and that's something maybe we bring up here in the future is allowing that, just like this new BJCP score sheet is kind of controversial for the people that like to write all their stuff about it. This is more like a cheat sheet for judging beers. So you have a bunch of these things that are right there, and you're able to judge whether they're good or not good or where they're supposed to be. And maybe now a vocal description of what's going on is even better, and that would be a better way to do it. We wouldn't have to stop and write down. We just talk about what we're going to be seeing, write down what numbers we think we're at, and we'll be done.
Here's the flavor. Dominated by rich and complex flavor of Munich malt, usually with melanoidins.
Yeah.
Reminiscent of bread
crust. The taste can be moderately sweet, although it should not be overwhelming or cloying. Mild caramel, chocolate toast, nuttiness may be present. Burnt or bitter flavors from roasted malts are inappropriate, which I don't think he has. I think that's correct.
Right.
As are pronounced caramel flavors from crystal malt. God, marbles in my mouth. Hop bitterness is moderately low but perceptible, with the balance tipped firmly towards maltiness. Noble hop flavor is low to none. aftertaste remains malty, although the hop bitterness may be more apparent in the medium dry finish.
There's
Clean lager character with no fruity esters or diacetyl. I think the flavor on this beer is pretty spot on. I think its major flaw is the mouthfeel.
Well, let's see. It should be medium to medium full body, firm and dextrinous mouthfeel without being heavy or cloying, moderate carbonation, light astringency, slight alcohol.
Do you know what it feels like to me? It's almost.
To the secondary, and then I put it in the secondary for like
I don't know. Like I said, this is one of my favorite beer styles. So I compare it against some of my favorites.
Okay.
And what I get from this is I would like a little more mouthfeel, a little more body. And not that I'm saying it's bad.
Right.
I think the flavor is almost there. I'd like a little more malt character, which I'm not getting.
Maybe high on carbonation is what's going on there.
Maybe. But overall, it's a great beer. I think it's a good beer.
Very nice beer.
Like I said, in this, I'm going to be more critical because I really love this style. And but overall, I think it's a good beer.
I think it's I think it's very close to style, and it's a good beer.
And typically, that's when you taste your German lagers. A lot of the times, that is a hard flavor to reproduce because they do decoction mashes. So, and unless you do that, a lot of the times you can't get that same flavor. You can't get that really well-rounded, roast flavor. I mean, not malt flavor. You just can't get it. So let's set this on the side because I don't want to score this one. See what our other ones are looking like, or you want to go ahead and score it?
Well, I scored it, but I'm
scored
open to changing if we need to. Folks may wonder about the fact that we're talking about possibly changing scores. It's not uncommon to adjust your scores because you'll know by the end of all the beers, one is definitely going to be a winner. One is definitely a loser, and then you have a feel for where the others fit. And even though the BJCP guidelines, we came up with numbers, sometimes those numbers just don't agree with what we think the good beers are and the bad beers are. So we're open to adjusting, and it's a very common thing to see in beer judging.
Now, for example, this is a really good beer here. I think it's got a really good shot at least placing for sure.
But we have 5 more beers.
Right. Typically, though, you'll find in judging, too, though, a lot of times, I'm going to save this one.
All right, I'll save mine back.
You'll find that you'll have lots of bad beers, lots of average beers, and then maybe 1 or 2 fantastic beers. And I mean, it's kind of... It sounds crazy when you're first starting to judge, but it's kind of an eye-opening experience when you first judge, just because you don't. You never really think of, well, these are good. Wow, those are really bad, and then you're like, wow, this is great. So, I think it's really in the first round judging, it's really easy to judge.
Yeah, it definitely is, because at that point you're going to find
beers, and you're going to push 2 probably on most cases.
And I would think you're right on that. If you have 8 to 12 beers in a flight, and a flight is what they call it during a judging event. If you have 8 to 12 beers in a flight, you're going to have 1 or 2 of those beers that are just awful. You're going to have 1 or 2 of those beers that are just fantastic, and the rest are going to be somewhere in between. Is generally the way it works. If you get 3 or 4 beers that are great, it's just a treat. It really is. And because to get a great beer, you're talking about beers on caliber with like high-scoring craft breweries that make award-winning beers. That's the kind of level you're talking about when you're talking about great beers.
I would almost disagree with that in the fact that I think truly good homebrew is much better than any craft
yeah.
beer you can get.
And that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So you're talking about like when you get to the high levels, what we're looking for, it is at least as good as those award-winning breweries, if not better. And most of them will be better. The ones that win and
Like
place in the
Blue
top
Bond?
three that win, oh
That's-
yeah. You would buy those beers any chance you could get, and you wish that the person didn't only know how to brew 5 gallons at a time, or wish
Well,
they could
and a
be
lot of that-
legally
that's-
allowed to sell them, right?
That's a lot of the beauty of homebrewing, though. It's
Yeah.
just the fact that, you get lightning in a bottle once in a while.
Yeah.
And you'll never be able to reproduce it.
Right.
And it's a one of a kind deal. I mean, it's great, I mean, you may know what you did. Like if you did your 10-hour mash that you had the other day.
Hey, give something repeatable.
Yeah. It may be the great,
already-
you might win nationals with it, but you'll never be able to make it.
We already made the joke about it that is this when the mash tun's supposed to get clogged? Because we did also have to empty the mash tun at one point,
Oh, you
completely clean out the manifold. That was part of what was
Nice.
causing our issues.